Okay, I had a little bit of technical difficulty for some reason. The camera wouldn't come on, but now we are on. We should be 5 by 5. I see myself on the screen. I see the microphone levels. You guys can go ahead and give me a quick comment. Let me know you can hear me. Check 1, 2. But if you can hear me and I think everything is ready to go, let's do this. So this is the absolute last Tua Tuesday that we'll be recapping in the off season. Next time we meet next Tuesday, we will be talking about Tua's performance in the game. So finally, after 9 long months of waiting and waiting and waiting for the season to begin and conjecture and hype and BS and all the other stuff, we finally are in game week. This week, we will see football. We will see the Miami Dolphins full squad take the field against the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert. No more talk. The time for talk is over. It is now time to perform, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to talk about what does Tua Tagovailoa need to do to excel this Sunday against the Chargers. Don't want to hear anything about his stats last year. Don't want to hear anything about his QBR from last year. None of it matters. That's all behind us right now. It's all behind us. And all we need to focus on is what's going to happen on Sunday. So a couple of housekeeping matters for those of you who haven't been here before. Let me just go through this pretty quick. Oh, here's one big one. You're about to see a deluge of content from me. What I'm just going to tell you is this. Treat it like a buffet, like a nice big Chinese buffet. Eat what you want, leave the rest for others. That's how you're going to have to deal with it, because I am going to be covering a multitude of things beginning. Actually, it already began. I talked about soccer. I'm talking about college football, my beloved Notre Dame. I'm going to talk about Deion Sanders. Going to talk about all kinds of things coming up on this channel. This is no longer just specifically a Miami Dolphins channel. Am I getting away from Miami Dolphins? Absolutely not. Doing this every Tuesday, broadcasting every single game, not just a home game, every single game live. Going to be there for 3 hours. Would like you to join me. Obviously going to be giving away prizes and doing different things and in being extremely engaged with everybody who tunes in. So feel free to do that, especially this Sunday as we kick everything off. This Sunday game time is 4:25. I should be going live sometime about, 4:15, 4:10 or so. I like to go like 15 minutes before game time. So 4:10, 4:15, look for it. You should get the notification. If not, go ahead and subscribe. Click the like button, click the notification button, just so you know when I go live. By the way, here's a new sound effect. Hopefully it played. I can't tell because I don't have my headphones in, but hopefully that played. Let me just make sure. Let me see. Yeah, I think it played. So in any event, that's what we're going to do. So the next bit of housekeeping we're going to have to go with, just so you guys remember, Tua being, wow, none of my things are working here. Well, anyway, I can put it up this way. I was going to show you guys the link to Tua's page. Let me go here. Okay, here we go. Tua Foundation has raised $108,000, almost $109,000 for the victims of the Maui wildfires. And so what I've been asking people to do is, if you can give, please give. These people definitely, direly need your help. They're in a bad way, as you know, from everything you've seen on the news. But now it seems as though the news hasn't been covering it much, if at all. Not sure why. Doesn't make any sense. This should be front story every single night, but they're not talking about it. And these people really, really need your help. So if you can give, give. And if you can't give, then the best thing you can do is to go ahead and copy down that URL and share it widely around social media. Please do that. So we're back. So what we're going to talk about today, we did the donation thing, is first thing. Not sure if you guys have heard that Terron Armstead is a maybe. Terron, yeah, I know. My board here is messed up. That's why the sound effect didn't work. I'm not sure what's wrong with it. Terron Armstead is a maybe. Questionable. I cannot believe, I can't even fathom that this team has gone 8, 9 months in the offseason and he's still not 100%. He's still not ready to go. If Tehran isn't in that game, and I think it would take crutches to keep him off the field. If he doesn't get in that game, that is a huge, huge problem. Huge problem for Tua, huge problem for the Miami Dolphins. One and the same, I guess. That's a big problem. Mike McDaniel seemed to kind of like, hey, we'll play it day by day. That's not what you want to hear about your starting left tackle, about your starting all-pro left tackle going up against a guy like Joey Bosa. Actually, there's two guys on the Chargers that can take your face off. You got Khalil Mack, who's going to be on one side, and Joey Bosa on the other. Most teams have a good, one edge rusher. Obviously, Miami Dolphins have two with Chubb and Jalen Phillips. The Chargers have two all-pro players on the edge. Joey Bosa, his brother, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, and you've got Khalil Mack. If that offensive line isn't absolutely buttoned up, if that offensive line isn't ready to play, it's going to be a long day for Tua. There's nothing we can talk about in regards to that. That is what it is. You've got two studs that will be coming full speed at the Miami Dolphins. Full speed. Khalil Mack, if you're not sure about who he is, go ahead and look him up. If you don't know who Joey Bosa is, I don't know why, but you may want to look him up as well. Everybody has been talking about on Twitter about Justin Herbert being a better quarterback than Tua and Tua being a better quarterback than Justin Herbert. And it's silly. It's completely silly. It's what's going to happen this Sunday. Who's going to perform better? As I've said many, many, many times, I don't do predictions. Just don't do them. I don't do predictions because too many variables take place. But what I'm going to go through here with you, and I'm going to get your input as well, are the top 5 things I think Tua needs to do to perform well. And I'd love to get your opinion. I'm sure I'm going to get your opinion. We're going to spend a good amount of time going through all that. So I'm going to get to that in a second. The next thing is Mike White being named QB2. Understand what that means. What that means for the Dolphins moving forward and why it's so important for Tua to make sure he gets shit done is because if for some reason, some unfortunate reason, unforeseen circumstance, the jiu-jitsu doesn't work, the offensive line sucks, if he goes down, I think the Miami Dolphins season goes down with it. If he goes down for any extended period of time. I'm not talking about a sprained ankle where he's back in a couple weeks. Mike White and Skyler, I don't think they're ready. From what we've seen in the preseason, I definitely don't think Mike White is ready. Skyler, to me, looked like he might have been more ready than Mike White, but nonetheless, Mike McDaniel named Mike White as QB2. Didn't go out and sign anybody, didn't bring anybody in. This is pushing all the chips all in onto which is fine. He is QB1. That is what we have. But there's nobody really, there's no insurance policy behind him. There's nobody else getting any reps. Tua is it. So in that regards, it puts a huge, huge target on Tua. And this entire season is based upon him staying standing, being back there in that pocket. And now you're telling me the offensive tackle might or might not play. I also heard today that they released the depth chart. And on that depth chart, they listed Liam Eichenberg as starting at left guard. So Isaiah Wynn didn't beat him out. Maybe they just put that on the depth chart because Mike wanted to keep things close to his chest. But you've got Eichenberg and you've got a hobbled Teron Armstead on the left side. So that's kind of scary. Austin Jackson, far right. And I believe, obviously, Connor Williams is the center, and Robert Hunt, I believe, is the right guard. So we'll see what happens. I mean, let me know what you guys think about that. Tua has incredible vision. Okay, here's my first one. Is it coming through? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Tua has incredible vision. I will say that. But he's going to have to get rid of that damn ball. George Williams says, thanks, Weird Greer. I don't understand it. I really don't understand how you saw all these people, and I'm talking about linemen, come through the portal basically, and didn't take a shot that we know of any of them. Angel, I believe I'm going to talk about that too. Our defense will be key in winning this game. Yeah, I believe that's going to be a huge part of this because obviously, so let me see, you brought that up, so I'm going to have to digress. They were talking about Ronaldo Hill being a part of the Miami Dolphins defensive back coaching. For those of you who don't know or didn't see my earlier video, Ronaldo Hill was formerly the defensive back coach for the Chargers. And he was formerly a defensive back coach for the Broncos when, what's his name? Vic Fangio was there. So this guy has worked with Fangio. He's worked with Brandon Staley, who is the head coach of the Chargers. He knows what the Chargers did last year to offset Tyreek and Watt. So obviously he's going to be chirping in Mike's ear and all probably for the last couple weeks and said, here's what they did. Here's how we did it. Here's how you have to be able to break it. Understanding that, you have to also take into account when you're saying it's on the defense that at the same time, Brandon Staley knows that. He knows that Ronaldo Hill is now with another organization and is spilling his guts. So I think we're going to see a pretty good chess match in terms of what the Chargers do on defense. And then, of course, how Mike McDaniel combats whatever they throw at him. And all this is going to put pressure on Tua. All of that, because everything's going to change based upon what Ronaldo Hill told Mike McDaniel and how Brandon Staley is going to counter it. So yes, I believe that the defense is critical. Brandon says, Tua just needs to limit the bonehead play that he's known for every game. That and Connor Williams needs to not snap the ball over his head as well. So, yeah, there's a couple of things. As I often say on these games, let me see if I can get that sound thing to work. Where is it? Yeah, okay. Let me see if this works.
Don't beat yourself. Don't
No.
beat yourself.
You guys might have heard it. Didn't mean for the camera to go black, but yeah, don't beat yourself. That's top of mind. Don't beat yourself. I think what I did wrong by doing that is I should just go like this.
Come on, show some love
Okay,
and click
so we'll
that
go with
like
this.
button.
The only vision he has is looking up the sky. Oh, that's me in California. Brandon, what do you mean no chance Liam starts? Do you think that Mike just put out that depth chart just to put it out there and throw people off and they're going to change something? I don't know. Maybe Butch Berry was the one who penciled him in, but he is penciled in as number one left guard right now. So not really sure about that. Defense will be key to winning the game. Photos, that's not good. Photos with offensive line. All right, so let me get something. And hey, George, again, what's going on? Let me tell you guys something that happened today. So Mike White, obviously, you know, is QB2. We talked about that. So I'm just going to jump in because it's going to take a little bit of time to go through these keys to the game that I'm calling to his top 5 things he needs to do in this game. So I'm going to go through one, get your comments, then we'll go through each one. I mean, so yeah, I don't want to keep you guys here too long, but I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Now, these are in no particular order. I didn't rank them from number 1 to number 5. I'm just going to give you these 5 things, and you tell me if you agree. All right, let's see here.
Number 1.
All right. Number 1, and again, these aren't in any particular order. Let me get that comment out the way. Okay, these are in no particular order. Number 1, don't try to extend any plays. Don't do it. Don't try to scramble around back there. You are much too valuable. It's something Nick Saban said, to his competitive nature is to try and extend plays. He has to understand his vulnerability. He has to understand that this team needs him upright. There is no single one play that overrides the fact that he just can't put himself in harm's way, especially with 2 edge rushers like Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Don't try to, and I'm not even talking about the linebackers. Don't even try to extend the play. If that play is not there, kill it. Just don't do it. Because if you try to extend the play and not much is going to good as happen. Most of the stuff that can happen when you try to extend the play is going to be bad. You can get sacked. You can get hit hard. You could throw an interception. You could fumble. Yes, you could complete a pass. Yes, you could run for a gain. But most of the things that can happen when you're back there trying to extend a play that didn't work, that means the initial play didn't work. If the initial play didn't work, then bail on it. Don't try to extend it. Do you guys agree? Yeah, as I've said many a times, somebody, you ever watch college football? Hold on, let me see. George says, have that cheerleader picture out on the sideline. If you ever watch college football and they've got these big placards and billboards that the quarterback has to look at, and they don't make any sense, but there are different keys and cues that the quarterback has to take a look at. So it might be a beer can, it might be whatever on this chart of like 4 or 5 various items, and it's one of them, as George says, someone needs to have a picture of a cheerleader and says, hit me if you have any doubt. Just go ahead and hit me, or pick one of them out and say, hey, listen, do not try to extend the play. Don't do it. It's crazy. Brandon said, right. Brandon, you're jumping ahead. You're jumping way ahead. That's on the top 5. I'm going to give you a gimme question. Not really a gimme. I'm going to tell you something that I'm going to want you to answer, but let's talk about running the ball a little bit later. Yeah, I believe this is true. James Dudley says Alec Ingold is going to need a lot of snaps. Absolutely. He's essentially, one, he's a relief valve. If Tua gets in trouble back there, boom, dump it off to him. And number 2, the guy can block his ass off. So it's essentially having another lineman back who's like his 6th lineman. Whatever the tight ends are going to do, but Alec Ingold, I believe, is one of his best protectors. Absolutely. Which must be blind. No, huh? How come there are no love heart bubbles? That's Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. This is YouTube. There's no bubbly stuff. So don't worry about that. Just go ahead and hit the like button if you want to give me some bubbles. Bubbles, those are better than bubbles. So that's my number 1, number 2, I mean, whatever you want to call it. Secondly, I think this is really important, and you guys have already talked about it. Number 2, let me see if I can't find my thing here and say, boom.
Number 2.
All right, number 2. What I believe is that the second big thing is, you already alluded to it with Alec Ingold, is hit the checkdowns. If you go through your progressions, which some people say Tua has a hard time going through his progressions, but we're going to see that on Sunday. Go through the progressions, tight end, fullback, halfback, Raheem Mostert, somebody out of the backfield. Somebody has to be that check down that Tua goes to. He's got to find that alternate receiver. If he doesn't find that alternate receiver, then that's going to cause him to have the other problem we talked about already, which is trying to scramble around back there and extend the play. Don't worry about extending the play. That was problem number 1 we took off the board. Number 2, the answer to not having to extend the play is make sure in your progressions you're ready to dump it off. That has to be critical. Mike McDaniel has to put that in play and have that ready to go. He's got to hit one of his outlets, he's got so many weapons. In addition to Tyreek and Waddle, you got Berrios, who's going to be receiver number 3. You got Alec Ingold. You got Raheem / A-Chain if he plays. Whoever else is out there, use those guys. The tight end, Durham Smythe. Find that second or third receiver and get the ball to them. Take a 2-yard gain. Take a 3-yard gain. We know that these guys, if you get up to them for 2 or 3 yards, may be able to bust it for 15 or 20 or take it to the house. So there's no reason not to check it down. There's no reason not to say, I'll just take what the defense has given me and I'll just throw the ball. I'm using my left hand because that's what Tua is, left-handed. So I think that is the second thing. Number 1, don't extend the play. Number 2, check it down, take what the defense is giving you, and do it over and over and over. And it puts pressure on their defense. So what do you guys, George, you're saying that Let me click this. You're saying that he needs to diagnose the defense quicker. Yeah, absolutely. That means going through your progressions, your reads, understanding your reads, not just, I hate to say it when people say he's throwing to a spot. Don't throw to a spot. Don't do it. Don't do it. Go through your reads. They're going to do everything they can to disguise what they're doing. They're not going to show you their cards and expect you, hey, listen, I think I can hit Tyreek on a quick slant, or maybe I got Tyreek deep. Unless they make a mistake, don't think what you see is really what's going to happen. So I'm sure Mike McDaniel has spent a good amount of time in film. I'm sure Tua has spent a ton of time talking with Bev and going over all the film. They have to have seen what Los Angeles did last year and be prepared for that and make the changes accordingly. What's funny is I almost think that preseason is bad for what Mike McDaniel wants to do. You come out there in preseason and you've got fans in the stand, and I don't want to show you what we're going to do. There's eyes everywhere. And so the private practices that went on after all that fan stuff was done is vital. But then in the preseason, we didn't really see much of what they were going to do because he still didn't show it. So there's going to be a huge unveiling come Sunday, and I hope that they've put in these different options for Tua so he doesn't have to sit there and look for Tyreek and Waddle the entire time. They might as well have a big X on the Oh man, that's mean. That's absolutely mean. I think what you mean is like throw it in a spot. Yeah, I know that's what you're talking about. Rodney, you're absolutely. Rodney says Alec Ingold all day if not blocking. Alec Ingold all day if he is blocking. If he can slide out, hit him. Take those 2, 3, 5 yards and see if he can't turn that into 7, 10, 15. That's where, from a mental acuity perspective, Tua needs to understand. Not just understand. I think he knows. He has to execute that. And if you start seeing him moving around the pocket and doing different things, be afraid. Be afraid. And it tells you right away that he's still trying to extend the plays, and that's just not good. Hey, James Dudley says, okay, let me read this. I hope McDaniel stands up to his word and pounds the rock more. If we can run the ball, I think we have a really good chance. I completely agree. You guys should be assistant coaches because you're way down on the list here. I haven't even gotten there yet. And like I said, no particular order here, but these to me are no-brainers for Tua. No-brainers that he has to do. And it means the difference between potentially winning this game and losing this game. So let me go to number 3.
Number 3.
All right, number 3 should go without saying, but you got to say it. No turnovers. None. Against the Los Angeles Chargers, turnovers are going to be deadly. That means Connor, no snapping the ball over to his head. Tua, no interceptions, no fumbles, no bad handoffs. All the mechanics have to be, it's over. The mechanics have to have been done and performed and executed and ready for this season. Don't try to throw to a spot. Don't give them the opportunity to pick things off. Understand, there are some things that, I don't know if you guys watched the Colorado versus TCU game and how Travis Hunter picked off that pass down at the goal line. He's an incredible athlete. If a ball is in a position where somebody can make a play, there's not really much you can do that. I don't think that quarterback from TCU had any idea that Travis Hunter was going to be able to extend himself and make that kind of interception. If you guys haven't seen that play, just go ahead and Google Travis Hunter interception against TCU. I mean, there's no way that you would have known that kid could make that kind of play. The ability that he did to extend at the right time and what he read. I mean, even Emmanuel Acho did a breakdown on that play and go, That dude was just insane how he made that play. So if there's a corner or D-back on the Chargers defense that is just otherworldly and he's going to anticipate a play, or he's in your head and he's doing something, yeah, there's not really much you can do that. But you're telegraphing, your progressions, looking people off, you got to do all that to reduce the possibility of any kind of turnover. Fumbles are on you. No ifs, ands, or buts. No fumbles. Interceptions, it can go either way. A tipped ball, but if it's a bad read, that's your fault, Tua. So, just to recap, don't try to extend plays. Too many bad things can happen. Check down. You got to be able to check down and find another receiver if nothing's available, or throw the ball away. And number 3, which builds on that progression, is no turnovers. You're what was it? I don't have it with me, but I've been looking at some of the people, the prognosticators who go ahead and try to predict the score of the game. CBS did it, and I haven't seen anybody anywhere even Vegas, who've tried to predict this game that have more than a 3 or 4 point spread. So if you're talking about this game, most people feel is going to be so close that it's going to be within 3 or 4 points, or in other words, within one score. Everybody I've seen, all the people who bet and put stuff out there have scored this game as being a 1-score game. It's not going to be a blowout on either side, they think. If that is true, a turnover could change this entire game. One turnover. That's all it would take. On the same token, let's hope that, Vic Fangio does something on the defensive side. You got some ball hawks back there. You got with X-Man and Javon Holland, you got some people out there who can pull it down. But on Tua's side, don't commit any. No turnovers. Let me see what you guys say. Rodney J said, yeah, that kid Travis Hunter, is it on both sides of the ball. Never seen anything like it in my life. Never seen anything like it. Kid played 112 snaps. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever played ball, but just if you can't even comprehend playing offense and defense, some of us did it in high school for some plays. I weren't on the field the entire, time on both sides, but playing at that level, both ways, that's absolutely sick. Hey Pablo, what's going on, brother? Stay at ease. Let's giddy up. Absolutely. But it's crazy. Hide Tom Stockwell, you had a good one here. He's like, hide Eichenberg's helmet. Eichenberg's play pains me. I watched him at Notre Dame. I watched him play. He was good. Maybe, and I haven't seen anybody say it here, maybe the reason Eichenberg is in the game. Can anybody guess why Eichenberg might be starting? I'm getting an indication by seeing him start. If you played him at if you saw him at Notre Dame, you might understand why. Anybody know why Eichenberg might be starting? Let me see. Mr. Dudley, thank you very, very much. I was able to see it as it came through. Thank you very much. Come on, guys. Tell me why you would think that Eichenberg would be starting. And again, as a Notre Dame fan, I have an idea. And if that idea is true, it may be indicative of something. So let me know what you guys think. Nobody understands why Eichenberg would even be on the field. Eichenberg is a good run blocker. If he's got Eichenberg and Butch Berry has put him in and truly slotted him at number 1, that may be indicative that their plan is to run first. I could be completely wrong. That could be just a smokescreen that Mike McDaniel's putting out there. But if Eichenberg is penciled in at number 1 and he does indeed become the starter, it may be Mike McDaniel admitting, hey, listen, we need to run the damn ball. I'd love to see it. But as soon as I saw that, I saw people freaking out, and I'm like, maybe Mike realizes that if you ground and pound, Eichenberg might be the guy you want out there. I watched him play at Notre Dame, so I've got, 6 years of history watching this kid play. He's no longer a kid, but I watched him play, and he is a pretty big, strong run blocker. And it would make sense. I don't think he's suited at all for the RPO game, and he has problems with pass blocking. I think he can put his fingers in the dirt and come after somebody. Anyway, I was gonna say, yeah, you're absolutely right. Fish for life, better run blocker. So that may be an indication of what Mike McDaniel is planning. All right, so what's my number 4 thing for Tua? And it's not so much just Tua, it's also really important, that I think, for Mike McDaniel.
Number 2.
All right, so I don't know if I put those in order, but get the play called and get it in. Those of you who watched my live videos last year, I used to just pull my hair out and go, what the hell is taking so long to break the huddle? Why are you taking so long to get the play into Tua and then get Tua to the line and call the play? You should be breaking that huddle with at least 10 seconds left on the clock. At least. And over and over and over, I kept seeing Tua come to the line with 5 and 6 seconds left. And then we know what happened from there. How many penalties did they get? How many times did he have to rush the call? You got to get the play call in. This is year 2. This is year 2. It should be completely smooth. You should have the communication down, and that can't happen. It just can't happen at this level. So I understood that this week, I think Barry Jackson from the Miami Herald put it out there that this year, or this week during practice, Mike McDaniel was telling the guys they had to go through a silent count. Now, understand, with a silent count, that means he's expecting the stadium, SoFi, to be extremely loud and may not be able to hear the signals. That's a friggin' nightmare scenario for Miami. When Tua did that, that funny quip with the reporter, I don't know if you guys saw that, where he said, okay, I'm going to read a play back to you, and I want you to remember what's said and then spit it back to me. And everybody thought it was funny because Tua read off, jet 2, 3, waggle, steam, left, right, double 5. And people are like, Tua, we don't get paid $20 million to remember this shit. You get paid $23 million to remember. That's your job. So telling me I can't remember it, if I was getting paid $23 million, you bet your ass I remember it. So by making that funny quip, I almost think he put a bullseye on himself, because it came off as, hey, listen, understand, Mike's calls are long and they're complicated, and we have to get those plays in. Well, now you're going to be playing in an adversarial environment. People are going to be screaming at you for 60 minutes. You had to learn in practice how to just go ahead and do it on a silent count. You tell me how he's going to work that out. How is Mike McDaniel, who's had problems getting the play in when it wasn't a silent count, get the play into Tua's helmet, and then Tua being able to tell everybody, and then get Connor Williams to snap the ball all in silence because it's too loud? How's that going to work out? So that was my next to the last one, and I think it's really, really important. I think that I can't stress how important that is, because of how many penalties we saw last year where they just didn't get the play in. And if you don't get the play in, you get a delay a game, you're going to bounce back 5 yards, or worse, you have to blow a timeout. So what do you guys think? Those Angel Perez, what's up? He says, those long-ass plays, I hope Mike figured a way to shorten them. Yeah. When he read off that one play, and I'm sure a lot of people, if you guys hadn't seen it, it was a video going around about it, and it was just, my eyes are itching. It was just pretty amazing how the jargon and the characters that he has to be able to spit out to everybody. And I'm sure it's got line calls, and it's got waggle, it's got movement that people understand where they're going to be motioning to. But in an adverse environment, you got to get those plays in, man. Blackjack Green says, I like Tua, but he's going to get popped. The NFL spotter's going to pull him. I don't even know what to say with that, because we know that these guys are going to be just glued to seeing if Tua does any sort of shaking his head or anything, if he gets up after he's going to get hit. We know he's going to get hit. Can we all just accept that Tua will get hit in this game? To what severity? I don't know. Me, personally, then don't take this the wrong way. I hope he gets popped in the first 2 series. Not an injury. I hope he gets popped. Because if you remember when he came back, and I said this before in one of my videos, when he came back to the Pittsburgh game after the concussion in the Cincinnati game, he was out for a while, and he ran the ball. And when he ran the ball, Mike McDaniel freaked out. And when he went to the sidelines, he goes, I needed that. I needed to feel that. I needed to know I could take it. Well, with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack and those linebackers coming after you with basically no contact since last December. You've had a red jersey on all practice. You played 1 set or 2 in a couple of preseason games. You've had nobody really touch you for 9 months. You had one guy, which everybody said, oh, the jiu-jitsu worked because he did a backflip or whatever, but you really had no serious contact. This is football. I don't care what anybody says. I saw so many people talking on ESPN and on Twitter about Tua mastering jiu-jitsu and all this other stuff. And I'm telling you right now, looking you dead in the eye, there is no substitute for football contact. There is no way you can simulate that in a gym. There is no way you simulate that in a dojo or at practice. The only way you know you can take a hit is to take a hit. So I hope that Tua gets hit early, gets hit 1 or 2 times, and he gets up and goes, I'm good, man. I'm good to go. I feel great. Let's get it. Because without that confidence, without that Samoan warrior feeling of knowing I can survive getting popped, like who made the statement? Mike Tyson. Everybody has a good plan. You guys know what the rest of that is? That should be a trivia question for Sunday. Everybody's got a great plan until they get punched in the mouth. So you've had a great plan all off season. You did this jiu-jitsu, you bulked up, you got some weight, and none of it means shit. I'm telling you right now, I'm a fan. I'm letting you guys know as fans that none of that means diddly. When I'm 320 pounds or Joey Bosa's 275 or 280 and I'm coming at you full tilt, I'm going to hit you. And you better be able to withstand it. Otherwise, what happens? So if I'm Tua, I want to feel a hit. I got to feel that. I got to feel that as a man, I can stand up to it, that I can get better. I can't walk into this timid. I cannot walk into any game this year feeling like, oh shit, if I get hit, I have to remember to tuck and roll and curl. And, oh, by the way, I have to make sure I throw the ball. Nah, shit's got to be reflective. It has to be just an instantaneous thing. And if you're standing in there in the pocket and you're ready to throw a pass and this guy's barreling down on you, you're going to get hit. And you're going to get hit hard, and you're going to get hit harder than you have felt in the last 8 or 9 months. Everybody in the Miami fan group is going to take, we're all going to take the big suck of air as soon as it happens. And if you're watching the game with me Sunday, I'm going to suck it in as well, because we're not going to know how Tua is going to react, because he doesn't know how he's going to react. I'm telling you right now, that's going to be a huge thing. Probably, yeah. I mean, we've seen a no-huddle offense on his 2-minute drill and stuff, but I didn't say they were going no-huddle. What he said, he was going silent count. So they'll huddle up. He'll call the play, he'll get it in, they'll break the huddle, and when they break the huddle, it won't be hut, hut, hut. I mean, he'll probably clap, or he'll probably give some sort of hand signal to Connor Williams to snap the ball, and then the offensive line has their interior signals, and they know as well, or they're just going to have to watch the ball. Tyreek and Waddle are going to have to look in before they can take off if they go to a silent count. So it's not necessarily no huddle, it's just a silent count because nobody can hear. So you're going to see a lot of him screaming out to these guys and doing stuff like that. I mean, you've seen before where, what's his name? Peyton Manning doing Omaha, Omaha. Well, those may be dead signals because if you can't hear them, there's no use in doing them. So they're going to be a lot of hand signaling, a lot of different things, doing all kinds of crazy shit. Because if it's that loud, and I didn't know that SoFi was that loud of a stadium. I could be wrong. I don't remember it being that loud. But if there's going to be 80,000 people in there screaming and they have to go to a silent count, it's going to be really interesting. Really interesting. Fisher Life, how much do you think Tua will run the ball himself? Hopefully none. That's one thing we don't need. I mean, maybe a quarterback sneak if it's a 4th and 1 or something, he can, push through. But hopefully there's no bootlegs and stuff like that. He just, even with the extra weight, we won't know. Is he going to be able to run? I mean, if you put on 20, 25 pounds in the offseason, and I've said before, there's no friggin' human way you put on 25 pounds of muscle. So just go ahead and forget that. He put on 20, 25 pounds. He was already only a 4.950 runner. So I don't know how it's going to affect his speed. So I don't think Mike McDaniel wants him out there running at all unless he's got a lot of green in front of him, and then he better slide. Pablo says again, the good news is Mike will draft more guys from MIT so they can figure the plays out. Hey Joseph, how you doing, my friend? Joseph says, I would imagine running the ball is what McDaniel's playing this year to protect Tua. I agree. I 100% agree. So with that, so you jumped ahead to the final one. I can't remember if I was going 1 through 5 or 5 through 1, but let me go with my last one here.
Number 1.
All right. So here's something it's a little bit of a tongue twister. I'm going to throw it at you. I don't want to see Tua throw more than 25 passes. Understand what I just said. He should not have to throw any more than 25 passes. Barry, what the hell are you talking about? It's a 4-quarter game. It's 15 minutes a quarter. Tua may throw 25 in the first half. Why do I think that it would be beneficial for Tua not to have to throw more than 25 times? So Mr. C said, what? Yeah, go ahead. Think about why I'm saying that. What would make it advantageous for Tua to only throw the ball at max 25 times? I'm waiting. You guys are probably saying, Barry, you're out of your friggin' mind. I'm not out of my mind. I know exactly what I'm saying. Why would Tua only throw the ball 25 times? All right, since nobody is guessing it, I'm going to have to tell you. Nope, it's not run the clock. Roddy says run the clock. Nope, it's not run the clock. Okay, so let me get to a little inside baseball here for you. If Tua only has to throw the ball 25 times or less, that means Mike McDaniel has committed to the run. When you got all these running backs back there, and I don't know, Jeff Wilson we know is out. He's on injured reserve, but you got Chris Brooks, A-Chain maybe back at full speed. You got Salvin Ahmed. You got Raheem Mostert. If Tua only has to throw 25 times, that means he's leaning on the run. That means that those running backs are going to get 25 or 30 carries. That takes tremendous pressure off of Tua, and it also probably means that the Dolphins are ahead. If you don't have to throw, it means you're ahead. If you don't have to throw, that means the running game is working. So if Mike McDaniel truly is committed to the run, and you've got your offensive line ready to block for the run, you want to take pressure off Tua? Have him not have to throw. Can you imagine if Tua doesn't have to drop back? I'm sorry, Tyreek, you might not get your 2,000 yards this year. It might be a whole different ball game. Talk about something that Los Angeles Chargers wouldn't be ready for. They wouldn't be ready for a game where Mike McDaniel, who is what? The running game guru, not the passing game guru. He's known as being the running game guru. If Mike McDaniel can run the ball 30 times between the running back by committee, that takes a shitload of pressure off of Tua. Now he's not having to worry about these guys flying in because they have to watch for the run. It's going to take a little bit of speed off of them because they have to protect for the run. It's allowing these horses up front to pull and block and push and use their girth and just get in the way so Raheem Mostert can use his 4.9 yards per carry he had last year and get some yards. Understand that if Tua's back there throwing 30 and 40 times, it means more than likely the Dolphins are behind, and that's 30 or 40 times that Tua is going to be vulnerable for a sack or a hit. If you're only there 25 times, that defense cannot come. They cannot pin their ears back and come flying after Tua. That means Raheem Mostert, Chris Brooks, A-Chain, Ahmed, the entire committee back there, getting them all enough carries where it's making some sense. So that's why I'm saying I'm going to be looking on Sunday. If Tua throws more than 25 times, there's a problem in my mind. I'm crazy? I might be crazy, but I know that if he's not throwing that much, if he's back there handing off the ball, if he's doing RPOs and doing everything else and hitting the tight end, he's hitting the fullback, if I see him not having to sit back there and look for Tyreek and Waddle on every single play, then I think we're going to have not just a good chance against the Chargers. I think they can do that with everybody. Then if they pull up, then if teams get used to coming up to stop the run, Katie bar the door. Then it's all bets off, and Tyreek and Waddle are going to do their thing. But if this first game of the season, he's got to throw 40 times, I'm looking at a loss. I'm looking at a loss if Tua has to throw the ball 35, 40 times. Just saying. Because all the things I said earlier, don't try to extend plays. You're running the ball, you won't have to do that. Throw the ball away or check down. If you're using play action and running game is working, the check downs will be easy. No turnovers. You're handing the ball off. You're handing the ball off. You're going to eliminate the possibility of turnovers. Get the plays called in. Running plays are easy to call in. Not the same as having to call routes and everything. So I'm looking for Tua to throw under 25 times. Maybe I give him 28. But under that tells me they've committed to the run. Anything over that, he's not committed to the run. Yeah, Brandon, that's what I'm saying. Mr. C, there goes his MVP. I don't give a shit about an MVP trophy. We want the other trophy. There's so many other accolades that I'm even sure he wants. Imagine this. If you do that, if you can do that, the person that's going to be pissed off would be Tyreek because he's not getting as many shots to do 2,000 yards this season. But if they win, I think everybody would be happy. If they get to the AFC Championship and surprise everybody, not everybody, some people are already picking them to get to the AFC Championship. Yeah, Richard, you're absolutely right. You got to fend off Bosa or else. And the way to fend him off is not let him tee off on Tua or Armstead. If Armstead's already hobbling, even more so, you got to run because you already know, regardless if Armstead plays, regardless if he starts, you already know he's hurt. He's not at 100%. He didn't practice, or maybe he did practice, but they're not really sure if he's going to be able to go on Sunday. So if it's an iffy situation, don't depend upon him to block Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa. You're going to have to run the ball. Look for it this Sunday. Look to see these guys in the running back room take the load this weekend. It would really set a tone. Brandon, you're absolutely right. I don't care if he completes 5 passes a game. It's the win, the W. That's what's most important. I see so many people for the last 8-9 months talk about stats and touchdowns he's threw and yard. And I would have one comment to everybody. Everybody that would say, Barry, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, he did this. And I'm like, what was the record last year? Oh, you don't want to talk about that stat. The main stat in any NFL team, I'm going to tell you right now what the most important stat any NFL team, any NFL player wants. Did you win your last game? We're gonna close it a little bit, but I want you to remember that the only friggin' stat that matters is did you win your last game? Because there's only one team in the entire league that can say, yeah, we won our last game. How do you do that? You win the friggin' Super Bowl. That's the prize. Don't care how many touchdowns you threw. Don't care how many touchdowns you ran for. Don't even care how many times you got sacked. Did you win your last game? Miami Dolphins haven't been able to say did they win their last game since 1972. All this stuff that's gone on, everything that's happened, Tua getting concussed, bringing in Mike McDaniel, bringing in Vic Fangio, doing all this stuff, throwing for 6 touchdowns against the Baltimore Ravens, throwing for hundreds of yards, throwing for the best QBR in the league, being a candidate for the MVP. Did you win your last game? No. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. and it's so hard. I can't tell you how many times I've said that to people on Twitter and they get completely pissed off at me. And I'm like, they didn't win their last game. The idea here isn't to, let's see how many yards Tua can throw for. It's not how many receptions and yards can Tyreek get. The objective, every one of these 53 guys, maybe a little bit more, 70 guys, depending on how many they can bring out from the practice squad. The only objective of everybody in that building, which you guys may not believe, but every single person's focus right now, as they get ready to fly Los Angeles, every single person's focus is, we need to win our last game. And that's what it breaks down to. I remember my coaches always telling me, so what's most important right now? Number one, what's important? Do your job. As Deion said in his video, do your job, help the man next to you do your job, and perform at your best the way you know you can perform. Do those things, and the whole team can get to the point where you win your last game of the season. Of course, there's some bumps and bruises along the way, and there's some losses, and there's some things, but the bottom line is, I don't care if you went 12-5 or even 10-7 and get in the playoffs and you win that last game. That's why it's important, I feel, that Tua and Mike McDaniel really focus on the run. Tua will perform perfectly if you don't have to have him win the game for you. Yes, I know you're going to say, well, he did in Baltimore. Yeah. And my comment to you, if you think that, I will say the same thing I just said. Did they win their last game of the season? No. Okay? Then that's the answer. In fact, Tua didn't even win his last game of the season. Never mind the team's last game. He didn't win his last game of the season. His last game of the season being Green Bay. So he has had to sit. And I'm telling you, it sits on a player's head. That the last thing I can talk about or think about is I lost my last game of the season. I'm telling you, that's a stain, that's a pain, it's a memory that you just can't wait to get back on the field. If you ever talk to a baseball player and they struck out their last at bat, they can't wait to get back up and hit again, because I can't just have that be the last scene that plays over in my mind over and over again. Tua hasn't played since December 25th. They lost. He played horribly. I'm sure that's played in his mind over and over and over again. Don't listen to people say, oh, he got over it. No, you never get over it. You won't get over it until you make a new memory. And that new memory that you're hoping for is Sunday. So these 5 things I've outlined tonight. Don't try to extend plays. Throw the ball away or check down. No turnovers. Get the play called. Get it in. And the last one is don't have to throw more than 25 times, which means that Mike McDaniel has truly committed to the run game. I believe when we check in next Tuesday and we sit down and we talk about this stuff, where we're actually talking about the game next Tuesday, and we'll have played, we will have all seen what he does. I'll go through those 5 things, and I will say, did you see him try to extend the play? Did you see him check down? Did he have any turnovers? Did he get the plays called on time? Did he have to throw more than 25 times, 27 times in a game? Did Mike McDaniel really commit to the run? I just said all these things, so you guys have it all too. And so it was like next Tuesday, oh, Barry, you were wrong about that. Okay, I was right about that. Okay, so I was wrong about that. You're going to see it. I just went on video and said, here are the 5 things I think they need to do to win. And if they don't do those things, if those 5 things, as basic as they are, don't happen, let's see what happens Sunday afternoon. All right. All right, Pablo, what are you saying here? Pablo says, CU was a perfect example on Saturday. Brilliant game planning by Prime. Yeah, you do your best, and if you execute what you do best, then you probably are going to come out ahead. Their defense, obviously, didn't do as well as he expected, so they're going to have to do some work. But the offense and the quarterback and Travis Hunter, yeah, they did everything. Let's see what I like this what you said, Pablo, here. Let's see if I can read it. Football is like combat. Take the game to the opponent, dictate to them what you're going to do. No one ever won a skirmish relying on what the opponent is going to take to fight to them. Exactly what he's saying is you dictate terms and don't let them dictate terms. Rapati, I can't say your whole name here. Best receivers, high IQ quarterback, and you begging to run the ball. Let me ask you a question. What were the 2 best offensive lines in football last year, and where did they end up? Okay. Let me just tell you. The 2 best offensive lines in football were the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. And what did they do? They controlled the game. Of course, they had all-world quarterback Patrick Mahomes, and the Eagles had Jalen Hurts, but they controlled the line of scrimmage. I know it's fun to watch them throw the ball around. It doesn't win games. I'm telling you right now, if we're sitting here next Tuesday, you can come on and tell me, Barry, you're an idiot. But you tell me, when you watch the trenches this Sunday, who wins that battle? Who wins the battle between offensive line and defensive line on both sides? That's one of the things that terrifies me with the Philadelphia Eagles game, but that's down the road. So it looks pretty. Oh, you got a high IQ quarterback. I'm not sure where you got that from. 2 great wide receivers. Sure, fine. Everything that, don't disagree. That doesn't win you the game because you can't get the ball to them if you're not blocking. You can't get the ball to them if you're being chased out of the pocket. So I'll stand by what I said, and you're welcome to come back here next Tuesday or Sunday when I broadcast live and tell me, Barry, you're an idiot. Everything you said was BS, and we're going to throw the ball 50 times, and we're going to have 400 yards, and see how that works out. Let's see here. Fish for life. Let me click the button again. Why is it not coming through? Okay. Click the button. All right, so where is it? Fish for life, I'm not sure. Okay, there it is. 72 Dolphins had the best run block, so we need to be like them. Yep, and they had a great quarterback, and they had great wide receivers. But they ran. They had this guy named Larry friggin' Zonka. And they had a great offensive line. Absolutely awesome offensive line. George, absolutely. As I can tell you that being a former offensive line, it opens up the pass, because if I'm on my heels all the time having to pass block, and this guy's coming full speed and he's doing swim moves, he's giving me arm bars, and he's doing rips and all kinds of things, and I got to just keep defending that, it makes it hard. If he doesn't know, if he doesn't know I've got my knuckles in the dirt and I'm coming after him, it's going to keep him off balance. These guys are designed to chase the pass. I'm not sure why people don't understand it. Mercury Morris, you're absolutely, Mercury Morris was back there as well. So they had like thunder and lightning. Zonka come at you and blow you apart, and Mercury Morris run around the outside. The game dictates the ratio between throwing and running. Great point. Why does that dictate that? Well, obviously, if you're behind in the fourth quarter, you're going to have to throw more. If you're ahead in the fourth quarter, let's say the Dolphins are ahead, and it's 17-14 Dolphins, and there's 7 minutes left. Which game plan are you executing most at that point? You're going to execute the run. You're going to take the pass when it's available, but you're going to rely on the run, and you're hoping that these 5 or 6 guys up front can get you the first downs you need. It eats up the clock. It means you're ahead. It's really simple. I love this guy. Larry Little was all pro on 72 Dolphins offensive line. The guy is a legend. Yep. Loved him. Loved to watch him play. Absolutely. There's a throwback for you. No, you can't be, and this is real important. I'm not saying this, Kenny. I'm not saying to be one-dimensional. Of course, you've got Tyreek and Waddle. You're going to use those weapons. What I'm saying is you have to rely on the run that will allow you to use those other weapons as best as possible. When Bosa and Khalil Mack are coming after Tua, if they know, that's why it's so tough on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, because most teams know, most defensive coordinators know, you're going to have to pass to get this first down. But if it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, you're like, wait a second. Wait a second here. They may throw, they may do an RPO, they may just hand it off. It's a little bit different. Well, actually, it's a lot different because you can't just use your computer readout to say when it's 3rd and this, the Dolphins do that. That's another thing you guys may not realize. They have all this shit gamed out. They know that on 3rd and 1, the Dolphins will do that. On 3rd and 6, the Dolphins' tendency, here's what they're going to do. If you can change that chart that head coach is looking at and says, hey, listen, historically, this is what Miami did last year. On 3rd and 3, this is the play they like to run. Understand when you see them holding that chart, and that chart's color-coded and all this thing's on there, a lot of that stuff, especially the guy up in the booth, they know their tendencies. So the defensive coordinator and everybody else will say, hey, listen, run this defense because mathematically, this is what the Dolphins do when they're in this situation. And then, they hope they match that up. Run the rock, and this is good. Run the rock and use Tyreek in motion to get the Mercury Morris breakaway. Yeah, by running and then putting Tyreek in motion and hopefully catching them in man coverage when Tyreek's already got a head of steam and hits up a wheel route or something. Boom, now you're talking. But if you have no fear of the running game, you can just sit back and let's see what Tyreek's. It's 3rd and 9. Tyreek's gonna get some pass, so we'll let him get 3rd and 5. We'll let him get 5 or 6 yards. In the meantime, let's see if Tua can get away from Bosa and Khalil Mack, and we'll just keep everything in front of us. I don't think. And you'll see this on Sunday as well. There's going to be a 3-step drop and a 5-step drop. How many times Tua can afford to get into a 5-step drop? Because if he goes into a 5-step drop, that means he's looking to throw long. And he's going to have the arm strength to get it there. But more importantly, he's going to have the time to get it there. If he's in a 3-step drop, then that means the short passing game is working. So I hope I'm not getting too far in the weeds here, but this is all the stuff that I look at come Sunday to see what kind of drops are he's doing. Are they using the RPO? Are they running? And that's why I've said the things I've said tonight. if Tyreek doesn't get 25 targets alone, he ain't gonna be happy. In a game, 25 targets in one game, I can tell you this right now. If they throw to Tyreek 25 times, it's over. It's a loss. If you think Tyreek's going to get 25 targets in a game, that means the Dolphins are way behind and they're trying to catch up. Go ahead and mark that at the 1 hour and 6 minute mark here, because I'm telling you, no way Tyreek gets 25 targets on a game that they're winning. It ain't going to happen. Absolutely. Tua averages 2.5 seconds to get the ball. So, what does that tell you? If Tua averages I thought it was 2.2 actually, but if he averages 2.5 seconds to get the ball away, then they're still using the short game. He doesn't have, and don't get pissed off, he doesn't have the arm strength to take a quick drop in a 2.5 second and throw it for 40, 50 yards. If he's doing it in 2.2, 2.5 seconds, then that means those crossing routes are working. Absolutely. Let's see what else here. The run opens up, number 1, there's a new name. The run opens up the pass, but likewise the pass opens up the run. Yep. So, gone for an hour. This is Tua Tuesday. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. obviously next week we're going to have a whole lot more to talk about. I'll keep this cheat sheet in front of me so we can go over it and see, was I right? Was I wrong? Were you guys right? Were you guys wrong? And join me this Sunday. Like, again, I'll go live at about 4:10. We're going to have a lot of fun. It should be an exciting game. I look forward to having you guys there, and look for lots of content in the next couple days. Talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in.